So in case you haven't been keeping up with Fallout 76, it has seen something of a resurgence lately because of a major content update. I'm referring, of course, to Wastelanders, which finally adds, get this, NPCs into a Fallout game. I know, sarcasm aside, impressions around Wastelanders have been generally positive. People seem to think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And it came out back in April 14th, 2020, so a couple days ago, 3 days ago as of the publishing of this video. And alongside that, Fallout 76 also released on Steam for the first time. It was originally exclusive to the Bethesda launcher, which I always thought was a horrible idea. But they, of course, corrected that with the Steam launch. But as you might expect, the conversation surrounding Fallout 76, generally speaking, isn't particularly positive, and for good reasons. And so there are people who have taken to already review bombing the game on Steam, and so this was something that was reported by news outlet Rock Paper Shotgun with a headline that reads, Steam users try to review bomb Fallout 76, but some of its fans are having none of it. So right here it reads, checking the Steam page after the update had been out for a few hours yesterday, my eyes were drawn to that damning red, mostly negative reviews text. And so here's a compilation of some of those reviews. And if you look at the hours played, you can see that these are people who barely played the game, played for like an hour, 1.8 hours, 0.2 hours, 2.4 hours. So they haven't really seen the breadth of content that Wastelanders has to offer. They haven't really taken the time to judge the updated version of Fallout 76, but they do have grievances with the way Bethesda handled Fallout 76, the way it launched broken, the shady and kind of still not great business model and microtransactions shop that they offer with overpriced stuff, the false marketing surrounding this title. And then that score did eventually start to recover, though. Reading right here, since last night, the review score has evened out to a less threateningly colored mixed. So the initial wave of reviews were seemingly from people who were just waiting to trash the game because of the grievances that they have with Fallout 76. But then once the reviews where people have actually played a significant portion of the game started to kick in, the score evened out to something more mixed. But then a few days later, that score has actually risen to a mostly positive rating on Steam, according to PC Gamer. And if you go to Fallout 76's Steam page right now, you'll find that this is indeed true. Right here, you can read mostly positive based off of 1,251 reviews. The article proceeds to talk about how the game is still pretty buggy and the business model is still questionable, so that hasn't changed. But the core game as a whole is, according to this editor, finally starting to feel like a real Fallout game. Now, I myself have played a couple hours of Wastelanders, and I can attest to the fact that the addition of NPCs, while they should have been there in the first place, now that they have been added, do make for a significant improvement in terms of my ability to actually have some semblance of fun and immersion in this game, where it isn't just a bunch of players who are inhabiting the world, and so I'm able to take quests, learn about people, and I've met already a couple of NPCs who are kind of interesting. So there is that. Now, I still have to play more of Wastelanders to see if I can recommend it in any way. I'm only a couple hours in, and it's still an okay experience for now, nothing mind-blowing, but an improvement from what was originally there, which may not be saying much, but an improvement nonetheless. So I'll play a couple more hours, I'll play a significant chunk of Wastelanders before I give you my full impressions, but from the people who have already played, a dozen or 2 hours, they seem to be generally pleased with what Wastelanders has to offer, even though there are still a handful of, technical issues. There are still design issues that have plagued the game since launch that many people would like to see addressed. PC Gamer assumes that those initial negative reviews were probably Fallout 76's detractors who were ready and waiting when it first launched on Steam to bombard it with negative reviews. and it notes that a lot of criticism was aimed at issues and design decisions that have existed since it came out in 2018 and still persist, so they weren't entirely unfair. That is this editor's opinion, and I personally think, yeah, I mean, there are still issues that persist, and those should be called out and brought up, absolutely. But then it noted that in the Fallout 76 subreddit, if you scroll through that, the general impressions with that fan base is very positive, and we have seen the kind of backlash that can happen in that subreddit. But right now, when it comes to Wastelanders, if you scroll through the subreddit, yeah, you'll see that those sentiments are generally, in the positive side of things. There are still posts with people talking about how, they should increase stash limit and stuff like that. There are still people who are providing feedback, but it isn't that barrage of what the fuck are you doing, Bethesda, that this subreddit was months ago or when the game initially launched. So the general sentiment that Wastelanders is a step in the right direction, while I wouldn't say it's a Realm Reborn type of situation, it does seem like Wastelanders is at least a step towards that. And I, for one, am all for a video game that experiences a resurgence, that experiences a comeback. I'm all for a Realm Reborn. I'm all for, Rainbow Six Siege's resurgence. I'm all for No Man's Sky 2.0. And I'm all for games heading in that direction. That doesn't mean we should forget about all of the shenanigans surrounding Fallout 76 with the fact that it launched unfinished, unpolished, broken, the fact that patches kept breaking the game more than fixing it, the fact that the microtransactions and the business model and the $100 a year subscription stuff, all of that's still pretty shady and ridiculous. The false marketing, the canvas bag fiasco, there's still so much surrounding this game that people shouldn't forget and should hold Bethesda responsible too. But I'm also all for highlighting when something seems like it's headed in a positive direction. I'm all for giving kudos when they start to course correct on something, and this does seem like a course correction at the very least. And here's PC Gamer noting that, I didn't have many nice things to say about Fallout 76 last year, but now I'm back, and incredibly, I'm actually enjoying myself. Started a new character, so I've still not hit the proper Wastelander stuff yet, but even the early portion of the game is much improved. And from the few hours I've played, it does feel much improved already. I'm finding myself enjoying quests more because there's context with NPCs being present. But again, I've not had my mind blown yet. I'm not at a point where I'm like, holy shit, people have to play this game. It's just more of a, okay, this is better than what was there before. So that's all I'll say until I play more of the game. Now, it wouldn't be a Fallout game, a Bethesda Game Studios game, if there weren't bugs and glitches, and PC Gamer editor Fraser Brown did note that, quote, the first NPC I tried to chat in Fallout 76 Wastelanders was broken. Fallout 76 never changes. And then SkillUp posted this clip of his playthrough of Wastelanders where you can see, yeah, the NPCs just glitching out. So technical issues like this still persist, among other things. And those who have been playing Fallout 76 for all this time will tell you in even more detail about issues that still persist since launch. So all of that stuff is still worth highlighting, but the general vibe surrounding Fallout 76 post-Wastelanders launch definitely is on the more positive side, and here's an article from Polygon reporting how Fallout 76 fans are ignoring review bombs and instead are laying out the welcome mat within the game itself, noting how, quote, in my time in-game since launch, I've noticed a healthy mix of both veterans and newbies. Many of the die-hard fans are choosing to smooth out the ride for their new comrades. I've seen some remarkable exchanges so far. Some players are setting up their camps in a highly visible place outside the vault or near the Wayward, a new in-game bar and quest hub, and spamming positive emotes at fresh vault dwellers who jog by. The most common thing I've seen happen to new players so far is a surprise supply drop. In Fallout 76, anyone can leave a paper bag full of their items for other people to pick up. I found one player leaving a line of those little paper bags, each one stuffed with stim packs, weapons, and purified water, outside the vault. When I approached the player spamming the hello emote, she turned and fled into the woods, leaving her gifts behind for new players to hoover up. In Flatwoods, other players are doing more one-on-one time. I eavesdropped on one power armor titan of a character helping out his brand new buddy who was wearing tighty-whities and trying to figure out how to craft his first weapons. And then this article notes that Fallout 76's community is one of the best in gaming, in the sense that, yeah, it is the players who have been shaping Fallout 76, and the only reason it was viable in its previous state, pre-Wastelanders. The community, the loyal Fallout 76 players, have built some pretty cool stuff and have done some pretty interesting things with the game systems, with the camp system, with elements of customization that the game offers, and have built their own like obstacle courses and stuff like that, and role played here and there. Those are, I think, more rare to find, but the players who do it, it's pretty interesting stuff. And so the players have kept this game interesting, and Bethesda should be grateful that their community were able to tolerate the lackluster elements of Fallout 76 enough to breathe it life when Bethesda couldn't until now with this new Wastelanders DLC that does tangibly seem to improve on many aspects of the game. And I will also say that Bethesda definitely did a better job of ensuring that Wastelanders was in a good place before launching it. They actually hosted a sort of closed beta type of thing for certain players so that they can get feedback before, making some final adjustments prior to launching Wastelanders. So that was a good move, and they did delay the game back in October 2019. It was originally supposed to launch late 2019, but they delayed that to April 2020 in order to ensure that, they could make this the best update, free update possible. It paid off, and this is what they should have done with base Fallout 76. I'm all for giving kudos where it is deserved, while not forgetting the bullshit surrounding a game's launch. And so this is where we're at. The hope is that this is a path that Bethesda can stick to, that they can keep walking towards, that they won't veer back to a less than ideal direction where the game, gets worse again before it gets better. I hope they don't start taking steps back. I hope they continue moving forward, that they take Wastelanders and run with it. Hopefully this can be the beginning of just a game that continues to improve rather than continues to break on a number of fronts, or where Bethesda will pull some shady scheme that will lead to another wave of backlash. So only time will tell how this all continues to develop, but for now, step in the right direction. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Fallout 76, the stuff that Wastelanders adds to it, whether you've played the game, and if you have, what do you think of it? What do you think of this new expansion? And what do you think of the reviews having been mostly negative and then seeing a resurgence and coming back and recovering to mostly positive? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.